Howdy folks, and welcome back to Star Citizen with the mighty Jingles. Quick video today. Don't worry, this is not the only video I'm doing today. There's going to be a World of Tanks video later on as well. But I just wanted to get a quick Star Citizen video out there because I found my joystick. Hey! So we're going to be having a go at the Arena Commander dogfighting module with the joystick in a moment. But first, I wanted to show you some footage of, well, this. This is the Aegis Dynamics Redeemer, and this won the next great Starship contest that Roberts Space Industries were running for the community to design ships that would be included in the game. This is the Aegis Dynamics Redeemer. It's designed by a modding group called the Four Horsemen. Trying to access the interior of the ship here, but it doesn't seem to be happening. They won $30,000, a high-end PC for every member of the modding team, and their ship is going to be in the game. It's a heavy gunship. It's got 4 engines, multiple turrets. See 2 of the engines there. They actually split apart into a sort of rearward-pointing V-shaped configuration in flight. Very, very nicely designed ship, and well, that's why it won. Second place is also included in the hangar for a limited time only. You'll, if you've already logged in, you will know by now that in order to display these 2 ships, everybody got a temporary upgrade to a business class hangar. This was designed by a group known as the Shard Collective. This is the, I think it's Origin Jumpworks Boomslang. It's another heavy gunship. I actually prefer this one. I mean, the Redeemer was great as well, and it's a worthy winner. But I don't know, there's something about the just brutal functionality of this thing, the Boomslang, that I really, really like. Not too sure about the sort of slightly unfinished looking landing gear, however. Incidentally, the winning ships were all picked by the community. The Star Citizen's backers were the guys that decided who won, who came second, who came third. Cloud Empyrean Games gave input on what they thought of the various different designs in the final, but the winning design was chosen by you guys, the Star Citizen community, so that was really cool. Anyway, Arena Commander, I found my joystick. Incidentally, the joystick that I'm using is the Thrustmaster HOTAS X. It's a joystick and throttle combination. It's got around about 13 buttons on it, so part of the challenge isn't just going to be learning to fly with the joystick, it's going to be learning how to use the joystick. Now, there is a HOTAS style joystick preset available in Arena Commander, but you can't configure the sensitivity, not yet. You'll almost certainly be able to fine-tune your settings in the full game, but this is not the full game, and you're probably going to get sick and tired of hearing me say this, but it needs to be repeated. The very first video I put up of the Arena Commander dogfighting module, there were so many comments saying, oh, this game's crap. This is not the game. This is just a demo. It's not even alpha. You do need to bear this in mind when you watch any Arena Commander footage, whether it be me putting the video up or anybody else. This is not the game. This is a taste. It's pre-alpha dogfighting. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is a little bit of free flight, just to try to get used to the way the joystick handles. I am expecting to suck massively at this, by the way, so don't be too surprised if I do. Certainly at first. Okay. Got a couple of loading issues, and we're in. Now I have to at least first make sure that we are actually using the not the keyboard, sorry, the joystick. And no, that's not it. Ah, here we go, controller. So you can see we've got keyboard and mouse, we've got gamepad, we've got regular joystick, and there we go. HOTAS joystick and throttle combination, and there you can see I'm twisting the joystick, and that's yawing to the left and the right. There's the roll and twist, Okay. Throttle working exactly as advertised. Just figuring out which guns fire, which buttons on the joystick fire which guns. Okay, yeah, 1 and 2. Seems pretty straightforward. Oh! External view. Accessed from the joystick. That's pretty sweet. It does look good though, doesn't it? Spectacularly so. So 3 different external viewpoints. And then back to the cockpit. And we're reaching the boundary of the simulator. The first thing that leaps to mind is that it is hyper responsive. Now, this could just be because I am flying a very, very nimble single-engined fighter. Perhaps if I was flying something bigger, a multiple-engine bomber or gunship, it would handle the way I'm expecting it to. But I'm not. I'm flying a single-engine fighter, and it's going to take a long, long time for me to get used to having to make very, very small control inputs on the joystick. Getting the thing to turn, getting the thing to pitch, roll, and yaw is not an issue. Getting it to stop turning, getting it to stop pitching, rolling, that is the issue. Constantly making far too aggressive movements with the joystick, and that's translating into almost a complete lack of control of the Starship. I have to admit, this wasn't giving me a warm fuzzy feeling about how this was going to translate into throwing this thing around in an actual dogfight, which is what we're here for, after all, where rapid and violent joystick input is, the order of the day. So we're going to have a go. We'll exit free flight and we'll flash up the Vandal Swarm scenario, and we'll see how this thing performs in an actual dogfight using the joystick and throttle.
Origin Jumpworks at your service. Core system operational.
Vandal Swarm initiated. Warning, there are multiple hostiles inbound.
Contact. Scan initiated.
Well, something that we couldn't tell in free flight because there was nothing to target was that the joystick hat controller cycles through available targets, and pretty much exactly as expected. Actually getting the nose of this thing to point in the direction that you want it to without overcompensating and shooting way to the other side of where it was you wanted to actually have the thing go is a huge problem. Since you're not able to configure joystick sensitivity, it's far too sensitive for me. Oh, a kill. Oh well, it works. But as you're going to see throughout the course of this demonstration, I do eventually, as expected, get used to flying with the joystick, and while I'm never good, I do get better at it. And if you were only able to adjust the various sensitivity settings, I do get the impression that this would actually feel really, really good. It's not so much the rolling and the pitching that is too sensitive, it's the yaw. When you watch, you'll see any time I have to try to move the ship from side to side, it always goes too far in one direction or the other. And that's just one tiny configuration setting. Just that one tiny configuration setting that is spoiling this whole experience. Of course, as I said at the beginning, this is pre-alpha. This is the sort of thing you are going to be adjust and configure to your heart's content when this thing goes into full release. In fact, probably even sooner than that. As they work on various different configuration packages, they're probably going to pop them into Arena Commander. Because it all, the feedback on that is going to be a valuable part of the testing process. So probably sooner rather than later, we're going to be able... Let's just pop in the third-person view here for a bit. I'm completely unable to control the thing in third-person view. I'm barely able to control it in first-person view, but it does look pretty. Damn, my wingmen are hopeless. Of course, they're no worse than me. Look at that. That's one of the issues as well that people were concerned about when they saw me flying this thing in mouse and keyboard was... And it is... There you go. Once again, I yawed to try to centre in, and it just flicked right over to the other side. Completely lost my target lock.
Achieved assault lock.
Go on. Missile kill. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm. This is actually quite good. It is a little limiting in that, you know, I'm flying a fighter. I want to be throwing the joystick around and throwing the starfighter around the sky, but
Scan initiated.
it's too sensitive. It is definitely too sensitive for that with current configuration settings. You massively over maneuver if you do violent joystick movements, and you'll see that I do get better at it, but it never... The downside to that is that making small control inputs means that you never really feel like you're flying a starfighter.
Stern shielding.
It just doesn't feel natural. And that's one of the things that got me hooked on War Thunder, for example. The first time I started playing that with mouse and keyboard, War Thunder, for all its faults, does a fantastic job of making you feel like you're flying an aircraft, making you feel like you're a fighter pilot, even though all you're actually doing... Oof, collision. Even though all you're actually doing is moving a mouse around a mouse pad. That is missing from this so far, but I do need to keep repeating, this is not Star Citizen. This is just pre-alpha dogfighting module footage. It's constantly open to change. I can't get over how good it looks though. Oh, again, you'll notice that I don't have to, and this is good, the weapons are not mounted in fixed forward firing positions. There is a limited amount of tracking available,
Achieved
so
missile.
you don't have to exactly get your gun sight right on the target. Took him out with another missile.
Initiated.
I should probably have saved those for the elites. and people were concerned about this when they saw me flying with mouse and keyboard, and it is certainly, at first, it's definitely easier to aim with the mouse and the keyboard, and it's not really that much more difficult to fly with the mouse and the keyboard. I'm not really sure what you're getting out of using a joystick. Certainly at this early stage where I'm not very good at using a joystick. But it's probably the case that as you get better at it, you're going to be able to pull off... Well, it's certainly going to be the case that you're going to be able to pull off much more complex maneuvers with a joystick and throttle combination. Pitching, rolling, yawing at the same time, something that is going to be very difficult to master with a mouse and keyboard. With enough practice is going to become second nature using a joystick. So that's the advantage of using a joystick.
Hostile.
And got him. And the fact that people were concerned that you were going to find it much easier to aim using the mouse and keyboard, in the same way that mouse and keyboard users in a game like War Thunder, for example, have much better
Contact.
firing control than
Scan
joystick users,
initiated.
is kind of offset by the fact that you do not need to exactly aim the nose of the ship right at the precise spot. As you can see, there,
Proximity.
I was able to hit that guy, even though the nose of the ship wasn't pointing directly at him. There is a limited amount of tracking available in the weapons. As long as you are more or less pointed in the general area of the enemy ship. It's not overly generous, but it does give you some aiming assistance. The weapons are able to track the target as long as it's in the forward firing cone. So
Refreshing shields.
aiming with the mouse and keyboard in a game like War Thunder, you definitely have an advantage over joystick users. You don't really have that here, so that's a good thing. The downside to flying with a mouse and keyboard is that you never really feel like you're flying a starfighter. Unlike War Thunder, for example, which does a fantastic job of making you feel like a fighter pilot. when you're just using a mouse and keyboard. Star Citizen doesn't really have that yet. And, oh crap. I am so dead. Yep. Thrusters are gone. I am so incredibly dead. I've got a lock, I've got no missiles left. He's just closing in for the kill. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm doomed. Oh well, at least we get to see what the death animation looks like. Actually, I wonder. According to the damage display, I've actually... Yeah, there it is. Check that out. I've lost part of the starship. The sort of wing at the back. There, it's gone. Oh wow, I didn't know they'd implemented that. Look at the damage model. We may as well look at the damage model. I can't do anything else. I'm just dead in space. Just waiting for them to finish me off. And there we go. I am an ex-starfighter pilot. Oh dear. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Well, I kept plugging away at it, and it didn't take too long before I finally got used to flying the starfighter with the joystick and throttle. The only downside was that it just didn't feel like I was flying a starfighter. I'm making very, very small, delicate... You can see that I'm moving very, very slowly, or I'm manoeuvring very, very slowly and gently. There are no rapid and violent movements. And what that means is it just doesn't feel like dogfighting. And yet it is more effective, undeniably so. Look at the amount of shots I'm actually landing on target consistently this time, as opposed to what you saw at the beginning of the video. You'll notice that I'm overshooting the target a hell of a lot less than I was at first. I'm centering him up, I'm not overshooting, and I'm keeping him in the center for long enough to get a good burst of fire off. And this is purely and simply because I am keeping yaw to an absolute minimum, purely because it's just too sensitive. The end result is that I am much more effective at actually getting shots on target, but it doesn't feel like I'm flying a starfighter. I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to feel like flying a starfighter, nobody does, but I know what it shouldn't feel like, and it shouldn't feel like this. However, there's always a however, this can easily be fixed just by allowing us to tweak our joystick sensitivity settings, and all of these problems will go away. I have to admit though, it did not take long at all to get to this stage in proceedings where I was relatively consistently able to achieve decent results in ship-to-ship combat. The only downside is that it just didn't feel like I was flying a starfighter, because I have to make such small and delicate movements with the joystick and throttle, and that's purely a configuration problem. I mean, that's something that's incredibly easy to fix, and if that's the worst thing that I can say about Star Citizen's dogfighting module, then that's a pretty damn impressive achievement on behalf of Cloud Imperium Games and Roberts Space Industries. I think this is going to be amazing, and I will definitely be using the joystick and throttle to control this. Just give me the option to configure joystick sensitivity, and I will be as happy as a pig in shit with Star Citizen. As always folks, watch your six, and I'll catch you next time.